You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Today's guest is a black belt who trains at Warrior Camp located in Spokane, Washington. Ladies and gentlemen, Zack Schneider.
What's up? Thank you for having me. Good to be here. Good to, talk some jits.
Yeah, man. I greatly appreciate you answering the post on Reddit, which was like random to me, but I was like, let me just shoot it out there, see what happens, man. But I greatly appreciate you taking the time out to talk some jits today.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I've been running around. I've been having some matches, and so I was like, man, not a lot of people normally you can talk to jiu-jitsu about except jiu-jitsu people. So I'll jump on an opportunity to talk to people who are actually interested about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, without further ado, man, let's get the ball rolling. If you want to, formally introduce yourself again, by all means, and let's hear about your jiu-jitsu journey.
All right, cool. I'm Zack Schneider. I'm 29 years old. Like you said, I'm a black belt. I got my black belt under Robert Drysdale in Las Vegas, brown and black belt there. But I guess I'll start at the beginning. I feel like I got into jits like a lot of people do, right? Which is you see the UFC and you see someone get their arm ripped off, and you're like, how? In the fuck do you do that, I went on YouTube with my friends on the carpet, like how to do a Kimura, it's like, no, over the shoulder, no, you're trying to figure it out. And it was that for a little while. I bought some like Gracie beginner, Gracie intermediate DVDs, and went up to the mat room with other white belts who didn't know anything, tried to like figure it out, because I was from a small town, right? We didn't have any like jiu-jitsu gyms. But when I went off to college, I did find a club that was run by like a blue belt, right? So my freshman year of college, I joined that club, and with all the like white belt fury of wrestling my friends in the backyard, but like was able to do all right compared to whatever, just other blue and white belts. It was a small club, and I was like one of the only people who came consistently. So the second year that guy was graduating, that blue belt gave me the club. So then I'm a white belt trying to run a college club.
Oh no.
Did that for a few years, and I was going over, there was another club like 10, 15 miles away ran by a purple belt, and I would go try to learn those techniques and then come back the next day to my club and try to like regurgitate them.
Mm-hmm.
And I would try to be honest. I'm like, hey guys, I'm a white belt trying to figure this out too, but like I'm at least doing some homework, so let's come do. And then we would just like, it was me and a couple of amateur MMA fighters, and we would just roll real hard, and no one knew would want to come to the club because it's just some spazzy white belts spazzing on each other, and they'd go day one and never come back. So, but that was a squad actually. We had Chris Vassell, who was supposed to headline this last CFFC card, had a 145-pound title fight, but tough dude. He was there. Brandon Todd, who's a 6-2 MMA pro now, and he's a savage. So it was just like a couple of like tough guys doing that. Did that for a few years, still white belts. And then one of my buddies and I were both kinesiology majors, right? Which is like movement science.
Yeah, I was looking into that. Yep.
Yeah. So, and the last semester for college for us was we have to go into a movement setting, basically do like an internship, right? And it can be any movement setting. Or like you could go to a Planet Fitness, you could go to like a college swim team. And I was doing this jujitsu thing, and I was running this club, and so Spokane's like an hour away from the college we went to, right? So I shot some gyms. I had like done a tournament at Warrior Camp. And so I shot the owner at the time, Warrior Camp, a message. I was like, yo, I'll clean your mats for free. I'll train twice a day. If you ever feel comfortable with me coaching, I'll do that. I won't charge, like, I'll clean your gis. I'll help you set up. They would do, they put on amateur fights once a month. I'll help you put on those. I'll advertise for them. Just sign off that I'm doing my hours for college. And luckily the college took that deal. The owner took that deal, and I got like 12 college credits just for like training every day.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a sick situation. So yeah, did that for a few years. That's when I got my blue and my purple. My wife and I are teachers, which right now summer off, which is why I got the day off and can be focusing on jujitsu for a minute right now. But we got
Mm-hmm.
teaching jobs in Vegas. Went down to Vegas and I was like, damn, I could go to Drysdale's right now. I could go learn from multiple time world champion in like a real world class gym in a real city. You know, coming from Chihuahua, small town that I grew up in, there's no jiu-jitsu at all. And now all of a sudden I have access to like really, really high quality training. And that was really cool. So did that for a few years, got my brown when my wife and I started having babies. So we moved back around the family after 3 years. Went back and got my black belt there. And I've been competing at a warrior camp, that same gym that I sent the email to in college. They have a new owner now, Pablo Alfonso. He did Submission Underground. He did combat jiu-jitsu. He was a Titan FC champ back in the day, beat Miguel Torres, if any like MMA OGs know who that is. Um,
Mm.
but back when he was like killing it. So yeah, I guess that was like a little bit of a long background, but from white belt to closer to where we are now, that's the background.
That is the definition of being thrown into the fire. Like,
Yeah.
like having to run a whole club while you're still learning as a white belt.
Oh yeah. Well, and people would show up, right? And I'm the
Mm-hmm.
guy handing them the waiver. I'm the guy running the club. I'm the guy trying to teach the class. So then we would do like whatever 30 45 minutes of technique and then we'd live roll and I'm like I can't lose to anybody, you know? Like I felt like if any random person could come in and fuck me up, it would like discredit the entire thing that I was trying to do. So I'm like, I'm never allowed to lose a round. As a white belt, I felt that way. It was against other
Right.
white belts. Still. Yeah.
That's amazing though, man. I mean, it's good that I mean, obviously you stuck with it, man. You stuck with it all the way through. But
I will
I
say,
couldn't even imagine.
yeah, it's because most people as a white belt want to like disappear into the back of the room, and I kind of would have liked to been able to do that. But if I wanted to train, that was like most of my training days, and I did find, like I said, I found another club like 15 20 minutes away, and so but then because I was trying to go there and learn so that I could teach my own, I was training like 5 6 days a week, pretty early. And I think that was probably good for me. And luckily, it was usually like this small little crew we had, and we would like workshop through things too. But then I don't know. Even when new people come in, I'd be like, okay, game face, got to be.
Gotta be the most dangerous white belt around.
Yeah. Spaz is the hardest.
Oh man, I can't imagine that level of pressure, man. At
Yeah.
all.
Sorry.
You broke.
I liked it though. I kind of liked the pressure, and then I don't know. Now I feel like very little. You feel the pressure when you're an upper belt, right? That you're always like
Mhm.
gotta gotta show that you're an upper belt in some capacity. But
Yeah.
yeah, now I actually have the skills to be able to do that. Whereas when I was a white belt, I just like this is all heart. Um, yeah. Anyway, what belt are you, by the way? I don't know if I ever caught that.
Brown.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, I am a
Yeah.
brown belt.
I remember when I got my brown belt, that was when at those clubs I was talking about before, that other one I went to, there was like one brown belt, right? And I
Mhm.
was like too afraid to talk to him. I was like, dude, I can't ask him. I wanted to ask him to roll to just like see what it felt like, but I was like too nervous. And I remember that moment. And when I got my brown belt, I'm like, damn, I'm that guy now. I'm like, I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah, it's weird. One of my training partners, he's also a brown belt. He's a four stripe brown belt, and he'd be like, "I noticed no one wants to roll with me." I'm like, "Come on, man, that's not true." He's like, "No one asked me to roll." I'm like, "Well, why don't you ask them to roll?" He's like, "Well, I don't want to sandbag nobody." I'm like, "I don't think you should look at it like that." But we
Yeah.
end up
Well,
going to another school, did a seminar there, and it was like 4 or 5 guys. And we were like, hey, anybody want to roll after? They was like, yeah, sure. And he just stood there. No one approached him to roll. I'm like, I don't get it. I'm like, we're both brown belts. It's not like I was like, yeah, you got a couple more, a year over me, but we're still both brown belts. We still know the same stuff. But yeah, no one approached him. I still don't get it, but my instructor was saying, because when you look at someone of a upper belt, you think in 4 stripes, you're like, oh yeah, he's a black belt. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to roll with that guy. So
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I guess.
Some people have that old school thing where like you're not supposed to ask an upper like if you're a purple belt, you don't ask a brown belt to roll. If you're, I've never
Hmm.
subscribed to that, and honestly, I've never seen a gym that like really, really locks that in. But I know some people like just the fact that is a thing. Some places, some people might be apprehensive. If I'm like really looking for a roll, but I don't want to like call anyone out, sometimes I'll just like put my hand up and kind of like look around and like make it real obvious. Like I am looking to roll, but I'm not trying to like pick on anybody or like whoever want like please somebody come grab me.
Hmm.
Just take me to the dance. We'll do it.
Yeah, just let's get it, man. But I never been that way. Because I've heard that before. I've heard some schools be like, yeah, you are insane to think of asking a upper belt to roll. Like you never do that. It's like an unwritten rule. But I'll be talking to people and they'll be like, yeah, man, our instructor don't roll with anybody. Like he'll maybe roll with a brown belt or the other black belts. He won't roll with us. I'm like, dude, my instructor roll with everybody,
Yeah.
white belt and up.
Yeah.
But
The only thing I get with the instructor being like choosing their rounds and everything, is like a lot of instructors, they got 20 years in jujitsu. They might be a little bit older. They probably don't want to roll with just whoever. And
yeah,
would rather like, let me choose another brown or black belt that I'm confident like we can have a under control roll, like, and my body's not going to be killing me after. And they're not going to be trying to like ego tap me, going 80 cc pace for when you're not warmed up. You've been like teaching the class and everything, and someone's trying to rip in his steam lock or whatever. Like I get that a little bit, and I also get when I'm trying to get ready for a competition. I really try to stack all the best rounds I can in a row. There's only so many guys in the gym that are decent like body type and skill matchups. And you want to save most of your rounds for those guys if you're really trying to get into it. And
hmm,
so sometimes like a newer guy will ask me to roll and I don't want to say no to them, but I'm like, I've got 10 rounds to do today and I need to make 10 rounds count. And if you want me to, I'm gonna kick the shit out of you if you want, because I need to keep my heart rate up right now. Like I'm doing
yeah,
cardio. Uh so I'll usually do that and like take a little bit of a rest round, but yeah, sometimes you gotta be intentional.
yeah. But I'm starting to understand that now, man. Because Chris Harder said it best. He's like, I only got so many more rounds in me, and I'm not trying to waste them rolling with a spastic white belt. And I mean, you do have those moments where you will pick and choose who you roll with on certain days. Like, I'm not just gonna jump up and roll with everybody, every single class. Cause we even have like one of our purple belts. Love the guy to death, man. But I'm like, I don't want to roll with you, dude. I don't want to get hurt. It's not
Real
intentional. I want to make
explosive.
that clear. He's not intentional. He's just strong. He's just naturally strong. So it's like, dude,
Yeah.
I don't feel like it today. I don't feel like it today.
I feel
So
you.
yeah,
There's
I
some I'm
understand it,
not like a
man.
huge dude. I'm not a huge dude. I'm like I'm doing combat jujitsu at 135 here coming up in a couple weeks, so I'm like cutting.
Hmm.
But sometimes there's some like big dudes that want to roll. Even like not even jujitsu, just like they'll kneel on your shin from open guard and you're like just
Oh,
takes it out of you.
yes.
Um no, I
Yes.
try to roll with everybody, but especially I think when I'm getting ready for something specific, I try to be a little more stingy on who I'm giving those rounds to. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So, speaking of which, combat jujitsu, it's something that I've looked into. I don't think they have any tournaments like that in Michigan, or I just really haven't looked. But because for people who are listening who don't know what combat jujitsu is, it's still jujitsu, but there's a lot of striking when you're on the ground, open palm strikes and stuff like that.
yeah.
So,
So oh
no,
my
go
bad.
ahead.
As soon as one person has a knee on the ground, you can hit with an open palm, which like slapping is what people think, and slapping sucks. But the ones that really suck are when you get hit with like the base of the palm right up the middle.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, it's jujitsu, but like just there's certain spots in jujitsu where someone can like rest and guard or bottom position or attack a leg lock with both arms and both legs, completely committed. And there's not a lot of consequence. And combat jujitsu, just because you can slap each other, all of a sudden it kind of raises the pace, it raises the urgency, and it changes the distance game. Like things like playing sit
Yeah.
up guard, all of a sudden now your face is in range. Um, open guard, or like even a closed guard with like not a lot of posture control. Um,
Hmm.
you can't really just hang out there as much without grips. So yeah, this will be the third one I've done. I did combat jiu-jitsu 135 a couple of years ago, and then I did the featherweights, and then this is 135 again. Yeah, and it's the big show. We're going down to Mexico, going down to Cancun, and um, big prize money on the line and stuff. I'm pumped for this one.
Oh wow. So how do you prepare yourself for this? Like, because obviously there's a big difference between, just like doing a tournament at Naga or whatnot versus someone trying to smack you across the face. So how do you prepare for a combat tournament versus a regular jujitsu tournament?
Well, and I just had a match a few days ago, and I have another non-combat jujitsu match coming up. So I haven't felt like I can like just only do combat jujitsu or crazy focus on that. Really, I
Hmm.
do a lot of jujitsu, and just on the live rounds, my gym is it's real grappling heavy, but it's technically an MMA gym. So a lot of the guys in there are fighters and are really used to like ground and pound type situations. So basically, just do jujitsu, but with the MMA guys, I'll be like, hey, can we like show some strikes? Can we like play that game a little bit? They're always happy to oblige, because honestly, it gives them more tools as the MMA guy than me as the jujitsu guy would normally have.
Hmm.
And just I play some of those spots like bottom open guard, and trying to move my head and find opportunities to wrestle up, senses of urgency with that. And or if I'm wrestling up, I'm working a little more top control. I'm okay sitting in an open guard or a half guard and trying to find those strikes. I play rubber guard, so sometimes from bottom I'm locking down and trying to find opportunities off of that, and using that to set things up. So it's pretty similar. I'm still just doing jujitsu, just um, every once in a while making myself aware of those spots where like, hey man, you're gonna get hit here. You can't kind of just sit back.
Nice. So how did you like I guess how'd you get into combat jujitsu? You just looking for something more when it came to it, or came to jujitsu, or what?
Well, I'm just looking for opportunities to get on big shows. It's not like I felt like jujitsu was missing slaps and like was dying to slap people. It's like I was doing some like local shows and doing well, and I was a brown belt at the time, and I wanted to get I wanted to get on Submission Underground originally, and then they were saying I didn't have my black belt yet, and I didn't have like too many credits, and we had a combat jujitsu connect, and they were like, well, if he gets on combat jujitsu, that's a pretty good credit to have him on, type of thing. My coach Pablo Alfonso was in combat jujitsu. He had to pull out. We were the same weight, and he said, hey, put my guy in. Um, and I started dieting down to be able to make the weight. I went out there and never done combat jujitsu before, um, and never been on like this big of a stage. And I went and I got Austin Daffron, who's made some deep runs. We're both from Washington State. He's on the other side. Really tough 135er with like some dangerous leg locks. Seen him break a few people around.
Mm.
We had a match, and I was kind of like disrespecting the slaps, right? Especially at 135. Never competed that low, so that was new to me as well. Um, and I'm like, no way a 135 is going to hurt me with a slap, Like I'm just going to play my game, and that's not going to take me off of it. And then I sat up, and Daffron fed me like right up the middle. I mean, like heel of the hand right up the nose. Two of them. When I was sitting back on an ankle lock too, he fed me a few, and then I'm like 2 minutes in, just like bloody. I extended an ankle lock. I popped it a bunch of times. He didn't tap, and then I'm like gassed and bloody, and we're like 2 or 3 minutes into the first match of a tournament. I'm like, okay, I maybe should have planned different for these strikes.
Oh wow!
I ended up winning that in OT, and then I got Elias Anderson, who's the world champion. He won the whole bracket, and I had no energy for match 2 after like a brutal knockdown, drag out, bloody match 1. I was gassed. 6 minutes in, he got me, and so that was my first one. At 145, I got. Do you know Diego Lopez by chance?
Nah, I'm not.
Maybe not.
I'm so horrible with names, man.
It's okay. So he was Alexa Grasso's jiu-jitsu coach. Alexa Grasso, like the women's 125 champ. And he just got in the UFC. If you remember, he has kind of like a sweep hair. His very first fight was against the number 10 guy in the world at 145. He's like a deep underdog. But they had a crazy fight. I mean, swanging and banging. Diego had him in a deep knee bar when the round ended, a couple other deep chokes. And he ended up losing like a 29-28 decision, but got a bunch for that. Anyway, that was my first round matchup in combat jiu-jitsu. Was a UFC. He wasn't the UFC. He was the Lux champion. Now he's the UFC guy, but as like an MMA 145er that's like 21-4, like some really crazy record. And I'm like, holy shit, this guy's gonna blast me. Really did not want to get blasted by that guy. Didn't want to get hit. That's my first round matchup, and I had a good sequence where I was standing on the outside, and then I hit an arm drag. I like popped the hand down, went, and then swung around real big. Was able to snag the back, just kind of like teleport to the back and get the choke like a minute and a half in. And I'm like, I didn't get super relieved. And then after that, I had Jordan Hawley, and Jordan Hawley beat me. I had a couple moments. He controlled most of that match. About 8 minutes in, I'm walking into his guard. If anyone knows Jordan Hawley, he has brutal leg locks, and he is not afraid to break people. When I was in Vegas, one of my coaches, Rafael Domingos, had a match with him, and he just snapped his foot, and then Rafa had other people. So I'm like remembering him breaking my coach's foot, and I knew my coach was really good, and I'm like, cool, let's enjoy this.
So this is perfect.
He put me in a back, like I'm like heavy. My feet are heavy. I'm like 8 minutes in. I'm starting to get tired because he's been putting a little bit of a pace on me. And he inverts underneath, backside 50-50. I feel him grab and start to rip, and I go, like scream time. Oh my god! Because I could feel I'm like my life's about to change with this heel hook. I'm like, jab, and he let go in time. I was like, whew.
Oh god, dude.
Yeah,
that scares me a lot, man, when it comes to competing, because it's like you'll watch competitions, and you'll see people, they will go for a leg lock or an ankle lock, and they'll just rip it, like they'll just go full force and just turn their whole entire body, and I'm like, I can't risk that. As bad as I want to compete a whole lot more. I'm 36, and I work full time. I got to take care of my family. I'm not getting paid to do jiu-jitsu, so it's like, man, do I really want to risk that for a medal? Probably not. But
yeah, for sure. And other guys might. Like, you don't have control over if the other guy is going to give you time to tap. I was ready to tap. I'm not a guy who waits to tap. And if I did wait until I felt the tension more to tap there, I probably have like a totally different knee right now. I definitely am not someone who's like not going to tap. Like I said, there's certain taps that you have to do, and there's certain taps you can like eat. Like I said earlier, like I popped Dafron's ankle. He didn't tap and kind of kicked the shit out of me for like a good while after that. So he made the right choice. Like, even though it popped, he's like, I got a sore ankle. You can take an ankle stretch, but that backside 50-50 inside heel hook full body, like twisting real hard. And here's the other thing though, I can hardly fault him because that's the best way to do it. Like if you're just looking at what is the best way to win this match, the best way is to catch it and explode and hit it and have it extended before the other guy can even like have any tension or stop. If you're just thinking about what is the number one best way to win this match right now, when you're like about to hit a submission, the best way is to do it fast. As long as you can like control it a little bit. In training, of course, you have to protect your training partners. But if you are able to have that hair trigger and fire off, the bad news about that, of course, is that it's also the most dangerous way to do it. And if you're in a tournament, you're kind of like hoping your opponent is somewhere on the same line, whether it's, hey, let's be willing to break each other and let's take this serious, or it's, hey, we're in grappling industries right now and we both are going to work tomorrow. So can we please just like take a little bit of time? And you're just hoping that you guys agree and you don't talk beforehand, you know. You're
Right.
just like,
You just kind of have to just have that mental like that mental connection. Like, look, I know we both got to go to work tomorrow.
yeah.
Let's not.
Yeah. So wait, brown belt, what do you do for work? How does it work for your training? You balance it?
Right. I'm sorry, say that again.
Oh, I just mean like the balance. I'm interested on how people like, especially brown belt, you've been in the game a long time. Like everyone has a different setup to allow themselves the time, especially with a family, to be able to also get out to the gym.
So I made it a point to put it in, I'm not gonna say put it in a contract, but no matter what job I work, I'm like, yeah, I Tuesdays and Thursdays, I cannot work. No exceptions. I will give up every single weekend. Tuesday and Thursdays, I cannot work. So luckily, a lot of jobs that I've had, they agreed to that. Like, oh, that's fine. That's fine. Because weekends are usually more busier. So Tuesdays and Thursdays is no problem. So luckily, I've been able to do that as long as I've been training this past 6 years. That my Tuesdays and Thursdays are completely mine. So and plus. Especially now with with me being an assistant instructor now, I can go to the gym whenever I get free time. So I train Tuesdays and Thursdays, no, Tuesday, Thursday, sometimes Fridays and Sundays we do open mats. Or if I got any other free time, I'm just up there on the mats just repping stuff, man. So luckily my family train, my wife trains, my oldest daughter trains, so they understand. So it's not like, I'm not getting that, oh, it's either us or jiu-jitsu conversation, because I think my wife understands what my answer will be as much as I love her.
Dang. I feel you. I'm jealous of the family training. My wife, I've never been able to get her into training. Oh, damn. That's actually, I have a story about the one time she tried and it didn't go well. And my daughters are too young right now. My 3-year-old knows how to tap. My 3-year-old's older. And I'll wrap her up and she'll go pap, pap, and she'll give me a couple. No, so those white belt days we were talking about, right? White belt, I'm running the club like a year in or something. I get her to come with me because we were like high school sweethearts. We've been together forever. And she comes in and it was just us. And I try to like teach her a thing or two and it goes okay. And then I want to have her like try to like roll, like see what she tries to do. And she did what a lot of people do on their first ever time. They're like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be going.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And so to make it easy, I turtled. I like rolled over and I turtled, and just to like see like, okay, come like try to take my back, try to like climb on or whatever, like get a feel. And she jumped on the opportunity. So she goes and like reaches, and this arm coming under the seatbelt for the turtle comes up and goes and hits me in the face. Like she comes underneath my armpit and hits me in the face. And when she hits me in the face, my head pops back and my head hits her in the middle. And she's like, I'm never again. I'm like, no, dude. I ruined it. So I went from white belt to black belt and she still will not go to jiu-jitsu again. She had like that bad experience 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Over it.
Yeah, like my wife started training not far after I started. Because when I started training, she would, just come to class every now and then, and we'll be repping something, and she'll be standing on the side, and my instructor would just walk over there and be like, "Hey, you want to try this? You want to try whatever?" And she'd be like, okay." So after a while, she just up and decided, just said, "You know what? I'll give it a shot." So started training, and then this is when we had our second child, COVID. So she's been off the mats for a minute, so she slowly getting back into it now. But I thought she was going to quit too, because we were working one of the last times she was training before shutdown. We was working guillotine reversals. So she always has a fear of being upside down. Like, that's her biggest one of her biggest fears. And the one where we had to they get you in the guillotine. They you brace, push the legs so they can't hip in, and then you kind of like duck under and kind of roll backwards. So we were going for it, and she hesitated. So when she hesitated, I think somehow I need her in the face or something of the sort. And I was just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So she's like eyes watering up, and she's like freaking out. I'm like, oh damn. But yeah, I guess because she was more so upset that she hesitated the technique versus her getting hit. But yeah, she's a trooper, man. She stuck with it, and now she's a 4-stripe white belt, and I've just been pushing her.
Dude, well, that's sick. She didn't have to, the instructor is saying, "Hey, why don't you do this?" She could have been like, "No, not for me." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that she was like, she's catching. Sounds like she's catching the bug pretty good. Even life gets in the way for sure, but that's cool that she can understand, know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm happy she understood that very early on in my jiu-jitsu career, because it was just I would go to class, and then I would kind of mention, she'd be like, "Oh, how's class going?" I'm like, "Oh, it's all right." Yeah. And then more and more the conversations got longer about how class went. So she started coming, and then like I said, fast forward now, she's getting that itch again where she'll ask me questions, she'll text me "Oh, I was thinking about class last week, and we was working this and this and that and blah blah blah." And I'm like, all right. So we end up having jiu-jitsu conversations. So
well, it's something you can have in common, something you can actually talk about. Because I do, my wife's been around it long enough that I can have a little she knows what the main things are. She knows the submission. She can follow what I'm saying a little bit, but it's not the same as someone who's been there and can be think about it from being in that person's body. And think with you. That's cool.
Because I think what really kicked it off was we would talk about class, and we were she's like, "Oh, what y'all go over?" I'm like, "Oh, we went over, a Kimura from closed guard." So she'd be looking like, "Huh?" I'm like, "All right, come on, let me show you." So we'd be in the middle of the living room on the floor, and I'm going over Kimuras, and I'm like, "You want to try it?" And she'd be like, "All right." So
yeah,
I kind of fed her into it, but I'm happy she caught on, man. And it seems like she's fallen in love with it more and more, just like I was at that rank. So
you said you got was it a daughter? Do you have your kid into it?
Yeah, my oldest daughter. Yeah.
How old?
She's 7.
Cool.
So same thing. Honestly, same thing with her, man. She would piggyback to class with me. She would be mad when I don't take her. And we didn't have the kids class at the time, but she just kept coming to class with me. And she was learning a little bit until I did my first tournament, and she was looking at all the kids there, and she "Where's my gi?"
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
"You didn't tell me kids could do this."
Yeah, she said, "That's right." She was like, "Whoa, you didn't tell me kids do this too." And then after that, she joined class, and now she's my assistant instructor at kids class.
Oh yeah.
I'd be like, "Hey, warm them up," and she'd be like, "Okay," get the warm ups, get our drills going, and awesome. I love it, dude. I love it,
dude. That's my goal. I'm thinking we just got our older girl potty. I got a 3 and a 1-year-old. We just got our 3-year-old potty train, and I'm like, okay, that's the big step toward where we can maybe do some of this stuff. We got her this last like year and a half. She's been in gymnastics. She's been like learning how to whatever, stand in a line, follow this person, some body movement, things like that. I'm like, oh man, if we can just like, 4 or 5 years old, throw her in the kids class, and maybe I come and like help the kids class a few times, get her comfortable. But I'm just trying to think of the best way to help her catch the bug and not make it she's a spazzy, crazy kid. Like I think jujitsu's for her, but I'm just trying to think of like the best way to give it to her.
Right. And that was my thing too when it came to like teaching my daughter or just teaching kids in general, because we can go over, drills and stuff all we want, but when we have to think about like these heavy techniques, like, wrist, arm bars and, chokes and stuff like that, she always gets hesitant. She's like, I don't want nobody to choke me. I was like, no one wants that. But it kind of comes with the territory, but you kind of have to learn, you have to learn to get used to it.
If you want to learn to choke other people, you have to let them learn on you. You got to be 50-50 and learn how to be a good training partner when you're the one attacking, by feeling what it's like on the other side and understanding. And yeah, it's a pretty deep concept for a kid, and I get being apprehensive about being choked, especially, I don't know, as a kid that never ever happens. And then all of a sudden, like, who knows, little Johnny who's like biting his fingernails and throwing rocks at other kids gets to choke me. I don't know if I'm cool with that.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, but like I said, she's slowly coming around to it, man. And it's been awesome to see their journey growing, even my wife, from when she started, seeing my daughter start and, just seeing the level of progression that they're going. I'm more excited for them getting their next belt than me getting my black.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, I think once you're a black belt, that's all you look forward to, is you're like, I look forward to being a part of other people's journey and like progressing them and everything. Because your journey's, unless you're getting your red belt, which you got probably a while to wait.
That's 50 years, man. I mean, that's a little while.
Yeah. That's a little while. Hoping I live that long, it'd be cool.
Right, that'd be cool to see.
Yeah. Man, so yeah, I'm hoping. I think I can get my daughters into it. I think especially my oldest is like, personality wise, I think she'll attach. I was like showing her some of my videos and everything. She goes, "Dada, this," and then like does like little punchy hand type thing. I'm like, that's right. That's what Daddy does. Something like
she's
that.
ready. She's ready. Because I have a 3-year-old. I have a 3-year-old as well, and same thing, man. When we bring her to class, she sees her sister running laps or doing snakes or shrimps, or some people call them. So she'll get down there and try. And I'm looking like, oh, this is so good. This is so good.
That's cool that and you got bigger sister to be like, see how cool this is, see how awesome I look when I do it. Don't you want to be like me?
Right. Because it does so much for their self-esteem, man. I mean, even as adults, it does a lot for your self-esteem, believe it or not. But as kids, man, just seeing how much she has socially flourished from the time she started training to now, even at school. Like her school, her teachers always talk about how, how awesome she is, how amazing she is, and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's because she trains. Like, she trains, and she's put in a position where she has to talk to people. She has to, quote unquote, instruct and coach people. And it's like
conflict.
Yeah.
Gotta like deal with tough situations, gotta have stuff happen to you that you don't like, and just kind of like get through it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's some maturing that can kind of get forced onto you on the mats. I'm actually, I think I mentioned it briefly, I'm a PE teacher. I work with like K through 6.
Okay.
And so we do have like a couple of kids who train that come through. And I'm always trying to like encourage it a little bit. Like we're doing warm-ups, we're doing like side shuffle, and I'm like, and get down if you're a grappler, like get down low, show me your stance. Or I had like this first grader Trayson. I asked him, I was like, dude, do you want to show an armbar on me? And he was like not super comfortable doing it in school. There's no mats or anything. He's like kind of weirded out. He's like, no. And then my teaching partner, was messing with him, and he's like a football guy, young guy as well. And he goes, "You couldn't armbar me," just kind of
egging him on.
And this 6-year-old looks at him and goes, "I would do an Americana. It would hurt worse." And I was like, yeah, he knew.
Tiny assassins, man. I love it.
Tiny assassins. I fell out. I was dying. But no, it's pretty cool. And those kids do seem like they're like in a PE setting, at least they know what's going on. Like they know how to act. They know how to be. There's exceptions to every rule, but
Oh yeah. And that's one thing we kind of distill in our kids in the kids class. We do this, we practice this stuff, but we practice this enough to where we don't need to use it outside. Like this is not something you come in, learn today, and try it on your friends tomorrow. Like we don't do that here. We don't do that here.
Yeah.
At all. So that was like one of the first things we talked about once we started our kids class. Like, look, we teach you this stuff to better, to become better versions of yourselves. But if we find out you guys are bullying somebody else and used anything we taught you in school, you're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah.
So
you're not welcome back, and the kids you were bullying get free lessons.
Of course. We will invite them here, and they will beat you up.
We'll train them until they're better than you.
Right.
I've been thinking. So, and at that school, I'm kind of trying to get the wheels moving to get a jiu-jitsu club going, which I don't know if I don't think the district knows what to do with it. You know what I mean? They're like, they like wrestling, but they're like, what's this other shit you're talking about? And so I'm trying to get the ball moving, and also I think I can make a buck on it. Like the space is cheap to rent, the mats are already there, and I don't know. I could, if I get a decent amount of kids and a decent amount of adults, it's kind of like I get to use like some gym space effectively for free. So I'm like, damn, I gotta make this happen.
I know, right? Like I say, fingers crossed, belt tied, man.
Yeah, and it seems like it feels like maybe the first step toward, if I could get that and I could get some people behind me and everything, then maybe somewhere down the line, year or two later, I can open my own spot. And maybe I can even transition out of teaching if it like goes super well. And I got like a decent clientele and it makes sense to do that. I'd love to be able to make it a full-time thing, but yeah, there's the only real way to make it a full-time thing, either you're already a world champion and you're doing world tours, doing seminars, or you're running a gym,
Yeah. And that was kind of like my mindset going into purple belt. I mean, not purple belt, but brown belt. Because I was like, well, if I want to open up my own school, I kind of want to have some accolades behind me, to show that not only am I serious about this. Yeah, I got my black belt, shows you I'm serious, but I still want to be able to show like, yeah, I know how to handle myself in situations like that. Like I've won a couple of tournaments or did this or did that, just to, just to show that I'm not just talking. I'm not trying to open up a McDojo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I 100% feel that. And to me, it's almost like definitely for opening up a school, but also for a lot of jiu-jitsu, I didn't compete very much. I didn't start competing very much, honestly, till like brown belt. I had like a couple at white, a couple at blue, a couple at purple type of thing. And that's quite a few years to only, it's like 1 or 2 a year or something. And that whole time I'm rolling really well in the room. I'm like a young athletic kid who's taking it pretty seriously and training quite a bit. And at a certain point, I think it was like, I knew I was pretty good at it. And if I competed and I lost, I felt like it would like take away some of that. And eventually I kind of got that out of myself, and I'm like, you compete, you're training harder to compete, you end up getting better, and then you go compete and you can work on what you've been working on, you can show what you've been working on, you can show the skills, it actually counts, and it feels like it actually matters. And if you are as good as you think you are, it's going to go well, and if you're not, it's going to show you those flaws. I I think it's pretty hard sometimes to put yourself out there like that, especially when it's like, I'm going to pay money and take a day off and drive somewhere and spend gas and get a hotel to then maybe get fucked up in 2 minutes and then like do it all back. But
The worst.
dude, it's the worst, and it's not a good system. And that was part of it, honestly, is when I moved, I was Spokane area, went to Vegas, moved back to Spokane area. And when I moved back and I was a brown belt, there was some like local-ish sub-only things going on. And I was able to like do some of those, and I wasn't having to pay to compete, and I wasn't having to like pay crazy to go out and do that. So it made it like a lot more possible for me. And once I had those opportunities, I just felt like, you know, what am I going to do? How much? I'm 29 right now. So at the time, whatever, 27. If I'm not going to compete now, then when? It's
Right.
like I'm a 27-year-old brand. I got to go out. I got whatever 8 years, if I'm lucky, of like being near an athletic prime, if I'm super lucky. And then after that, I can slow down. But right now, I feel like I owe it to myself to go put myself out there a little bit.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you on that one, bro. Yeah, I've been like doing this for like the last 6 years, man. I fell in love with this sport early on, and yeah, now I'm at that point now. I was like, I want to give jujitsu so much because it gave me so much, not just just training, but just being able to better myself mentally. And that's like the big thing. But yeah, I'm so ready to give back. So I was like, I'm trying to compete, trying to teach, trying to do seminars, trying to do whatever I can, man, to give back to jiu-jitsu what it gave me. And I don't plan on slowing down anytime soon. Lord willing, as long as I'm breathing, I'm going to be trying to push to do jiu-jitsu until the end,
Yeah. Just try to keep that body all put together and allow it to keep happening. Yeah, I'm with you. The self-confidence, I mean, I think I took like a big transformation in that. I don't think I think I'd be overweight and a little more antisocial and not as confident and wouldn't feel as comfortable out in public. And I don't know. Jiu-jitsu's done a lot for me as well, and respect for trying to get back to jiu-jitsu and keep growing the art.
Yeah. Definitely, man. Because when I started training, man, I think my heaviest I was like 285 or something of the sort. So it was just like I, started training, and then like the weight just started falling off. So right now I'm kind of sitting around 220, 225 on a bad day. But yeah, it definitely has a lot of benefits, man. A lot of benefits that needs to be expressed more than just competing,
Yeah.
But yeah, Zach, we got a staple here at on Talk Your Jits podcast, man. We ask everybody this that comes on the show. Your top 3 people, man. Who would you like to roll with?
Top 3 people I'd like to roll with.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm gonna say Mikey Musamichi.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably number 1. Man, I wanna make good choices here too. I want to roll with Ethan Krellenstein. I think would be a really fun role. He's real spazzy, and I can get real spazzy too. I think that would be really interesting. And man, he might be getting too big for me now, but Cole Abate, just one of those. Oh God! But then this is leaving people off the list. Dude. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it's hard to do 3. But Abate, just because he's so technical, so young, so strong, and also so experienced. Like, you have to be one of those like IBJJF circuit kids that's competed 1,000 times by the time you're 15, and then now like a fresh black belt already with lots of like world level competition behind his belt. And all the testosterone of a teenager, plus maybe a little extra. Who knows? But yeah, there's a lot of guys. Any of those like elite guys in my weight class, I want to roll with. But those are some of the first ones. Mikey probably being the number one that comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, I love asking people that question because you think like, man, who would be your top three? Because you don't want to leave nobody out. Because you're like,
Right.
oh, if I say this guy, I'm gonna leave out this guy. But yeah, I'm that same way too, man. No matter what their rank is, if it's somebody who does jiu-jitsu, I just want to roll with you.
Yeah, I did get a chance to cross someone who was like near my list off. I just got a match. Do you know Giant Slayer? Esteban Martinez. Have you heard of that guy?
Yeah.
I just had a match with him like 2 days ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It got set up. Daffron, that guy who I was talking about earlier, who I had a match with, who lives in the same state as me. He had a match with him over at Emerald City Invitational. Set us up. We had a no time limit match on Saturday, and I was so fucking nervous going in because he's so short. He's hard to sub, right? He's got short levers, and he's scrambly, and I'm like, this is gonna be an hour plus match. Like, this is gonna be brutal. And I did well. I got some of my shit off. I landed some good stuff, and then I caught him in a triangle and finished him in like 6 minutes flat. So it was actually like pretty quick.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But he's one of the guys too, though, that's like such a crazy role that might have been on that list, and I just had to brag for a minute on myself for like, it's still fresh. I'm still like enjoying it.
Still riding that high.
Still riding that high. I had to plug it.
Hey man, right on, brother. If I ever get a chance to roll with someone high level like that, and even if I just survive, I'm gonna brag about it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I roll with that guy, man. You know, it's okay.
Yeah, I love it.
You know. But Zach, man, if you got any questions for me, man, fire away. If you want to plug your school, plug whatever you're doing, man. I know you got some fights coming up, sir. So, man, plug away, man. The floor is all yours.
Cool, man. Yeah, if you guys tune in to, if you got UFC Fight Pass, tune in to Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, the bantamweights. That show's always sick and wild, and there's like upsets, and there's guys you don't know and guys you really know, and a whole bunch of people doing a rule set that nobody's good at because there's not that many combat jiu-jitsu matches to even practice. So you're seeing people just like totally different strategies. It's a new sport. Check me out. If you want to see some like highlights or like some of my matches that I've talked about or something like that, check me out on Instagram. I realized I should have added it, but it's a Zack Cougar Schneider. So if you type in ZACK Cougar Schneider, it'll be me with like a backwards hat on in the picture. You should recognize me probably. And yeah, some of my matches on YouTube if you want to go ahead and do that. Warrior Camp, if you're in Eastern Washington, we got a little squad there. It's pretty fun. And yeah, man, thank you for having me on. This is cool to talk a little jiu-jitsu with someone who knows a little jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, man, I greatly appreciate it, man. I will definitely check your stuff out, man. We'll have links to everything that we talked about. So, you know, when this video posts, everybody be able to see it, see you in action, brother. But I would definitely be checking it out now for sure, man. Because I do have Fight Pass. I do love watching the grappling matches on there, man. It's phenomenal. Amazing things that they're doing, and I'm happy to see that this sport is steady growing in the right direction, you know?
Yes, sir. Thank you for helping it.
Yeah, not a problem, man. This is, like I said, I want to give back as much as I got from jiu-jitsu. So this is just one of my ways.
Sick. Good to talk to you, brother.
Yeah. And that's the end of today's episode. I would love to thank Zach one more time for coming on and sharing his tales and experiences with us, man. I hope you guys loved and learned from what we were talking about. Please go and follow our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube page to stay updated on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits Podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live jiu-jitsu. Have a great day. And we're done.